Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about multi-period accounting in Oracle Fusion. A few weeks back, I'd already uploaded a video on the same concept, that's multi-period accounting in Oracle EBS, but in today's video, I'll be talking about multi-period accounting in Oracle Fusion. So again, I'll give a little bit background of multi-period accounting. So basically, there are certain expenses which are incurred once, but you want to apportion those expenses or record those expenses over a period of time. So we'll take an example of, say, software license. If you purchase a software license which is valid for, say, 1 year, maybe say, take an example, the software license is $1,000, but the license is valid for, say, 12 months. So even though you record that expenses or you make a payment of that particular software license purchase, say, today, but you want to record or apportion the expenses over a period of time. So that is what is achieved using your multi-period accounting concept in Oracle Fusion. In EBS, configuring of the multi-period accounting is a bit complex, wherein you need to customize to a certain extent the SLA rules, but in Oracle Fusion, it is pretty straightforward. As far as the multi-period accounting is concerned, there are two scenarios. One is prorate or apportion the expenses by number of periods. So it's a default setting. No need to configure any SLA. It's pretty straightforward functionality. So in my current video, I'll be talking about the first scenario. And if you want to prorate those expenses by number of days, that is like in 1 month, there could be say 31 days. In another month, there could be 28 days. But if you want to apportion the expense based on the number of days in a month, then like custom SLA rules or custom SLA setups are required. So maybe probably I'll try to cover the second scenario as part of my different video. But in my current video, I'll be focusing on the first scenario, that is prorate the expense by the number of periods. So a couple of prerequisites is so just create a AP invoice, and in order to create an AP invoice, you would have these roles, any of these accounts payable managers, specialist or supervisor role, and for those roles, concerned business unit should have been assigned to those above roles, and these are the steps. So create an AP invoice, validate and account the invoice, and then run create multi-period accounting program, and then check the accounting entries. So now we'll look into these steps. The first step is create an AP invoice. Okay, let me click on this invoices, and then create invoice. Enter a supplier name, ABC Consulting. That's my supplier. And invoice number, let me make it as a ARV MPA 1, and I want to take the invoice amount as a 60,350, and invoice date maybe 1st of May. So for this particular supply, there is only one supplier site, and hence that is defaulted, and legal entity is defaulted based on the business unit, and business unit is defaulted based on the data access set, which is assigned to my role, which is assigned to my user. Now go to lines. Okay, item. So I just want to enter line item as say 15,000. So at the header, I have entered 16,350 because this include tax. Tax will be calculated by system. So let me enter 15,000. And as far as the data entry is concerned, so there are two accounts involved here. One is the charge account, and another one is the accrual account. So so accrual account is basically whenever you create your AP invoice, and the first thing is the charge needs to go to your accrual account, and then whenever you run your multi-period accounting, and every month some balance, I'll show you all these calculations, should move from your accrued expense account to your actual expense account. Okay, So this is the actual charge account distribution code combination, which is 64220 is the account which I want to use. Okay, let me get rid of the distribution set. Expand this. Okay, enter the charge account. So charge account, I want to enter the charge account is 64220. That is my software expenses. Okay, and as far as the multi-period accounting is concerned, you need to enter a couple of details. So it's not available here. So what you need to do is view, columns, show all, multi-period accounting. Click on multi-period accounting. Okay, enter the start date and enter the start date, end date, and accrual account. So start date, end date is basically whatever the expense which you have incurred here, 15,000, including a tax is 16,350. For how many months you want to apportion that expenses? So I want to apportion that expense from say today from 10th of May to 10th of May 2021 to say April 10th 2022. So that is for 1 year I want to apportion this expense. So 16,350 should be apportioned over a period of 12 months. And what is my accrual account? Accrual account is 24220. So this is accrual account, or you can call it as a deferred expense account or accrual expense account. Okay, so the first thing is I've completed entering of the AP invoice. Save this, validate the invoice. It's very important that you need to validate the invoice, run the created accounting. Okay, there's a warning. This invoice has the same supplier invoice date, amount, and currency as there is some other invoice with the same details. Verify that it isn't duplicate. That's fine. Yeah, that's just a warning. So continue. Okay. Validate. It's validated. So if you click on validated, you'll be able to see that it's validated. But as far as the accounting is concerned, it says unaccounted, so it's not yet accounted. So now account, so which is postal ledger. So postal ledger is basically it will create accounting in final mode as well as transfer those entries to GL. So accounting is completed. If you click on view accounting, here you will be able to see we have entered the charge account as well as the deferred expense account or accrued expenses account. So if you observe here, charge account is still did not took a hit. Basically, the entry is deferred expense account debit, your liability account credit. Let me expand this. Or let me export this to Excel. Okay, so here you can see deferred item expense debit, liability credit, and there is a non-recoverable tax. So in general, whenever there's a non-recoverable tax, you will get the same charge account or whatever the account which got debited, the same will take a hit even for the non-recoverable tax lines as well. So here, I mean, based on tax setup, so for state and county, there are two different taxes which got generated. So $975 and $375. So even these also got debited, and then liability got credited. So the journal entries deferred item expense debit, your liability credit. Okay, so we have completed this part. Okay, and the next part is we need to run the create multi-period accounting program. So as we have entered the start date and end date as May 10, 2021 to April 10, 2022, we need to, in a live environment, we need to ensure that this particular program is scheduled to run every month, or somebody needs to run this particular program as part of their month-end activities. So now let me run this particular program for May month. Okay, so now as of now, we are not able to see any multi-period accounting because I did not run the program. So you are just seeing the normal journal entry, which is your item expense debit, your liability credit, and in this case, item expense is basically your deferred item expense, which is your accrued expenses 24 to 20. Okay, now let me run the create multi-period accounting program. Okay, save and close. Okay, under tools, go to your schedule process. Okay, schedule load process, and the name of the program is create multi-period accounting. First one, create multi-period accounting. Okay, you need to select the concerned subledger. The subledger is payables. Enter your ledger name. So my ledger is US primary ledger. That's the name of my ledger. US primary ledger. And then period is 0521. And so I just want to run the accounting in final, transfer to GL as yes, and post in GL as yes. So if you observe here, basically create multi-period accounting has more or less the same parameters as that of your create accounting. So I'm submitting this. So this particular program in turn triggers create multi-period accounting execution report as well. So we need to ensure that both the programs are completed successfully. So create multi-period accounting. So this is ending with 181. Okay. Okay, let me just search for this specific process ID. Let's wait for this process to be completed, and once it is completed, it will trigger create multi-period accounting execution report, and then we can check the output of the multi-period create multi-period accounting execution report, which would show the relevant accounting entries which are generated. We can also go to the invoice and then click on view accounting, which will show the concerned accounting entries. And another important thing, what I had observed is, I think there is some bug in create multi-period accounting. So I can see this note ID. So even in my test environment, when I run this create multi-period accounting program, it completed in error with this error message. Journal entry was not created because no data could be found. So if you observe here, this is the symptoms. Create multi-period accounting showing the following error. Journal entry was not created because no data could be found. Details multi-period transaction data must be available in the subledger transaction objects until the last period journal entry has been accounted. So Oracle confirms that this error is occurring due to an internal database bug, and unfortunately, they do not have any kind of a ETA on when they are going to fix this particular bug. So they have given a kind of a workaround. So please follow this particular workaround. So you can refer this particular note ID 2581275.1 and follow these steps. So you need to create a profile option and assign a value to that particular profile option, and then you need to run this particular program. Once these steps are done, you can run your MPA accounting program once again, and then it should complete successfully. So in my current environment, I had completed all these steps. So that's the reason now it started running successfully. Otherwise, even in this environment, it failed earlier. Okay, so it succeeded. Go to your output. So output should give the details of the create multi-period accounting execution report. So search for this, and this request ID or this process ID should give further details on the actual MPA accounting entries. Okay. Okay. So our invoice number is ARB MPA1. So if you observe here, let me zoom this. Okay, if you observe here, we have your item expense, which is 64,220 debit, and your accrued item expense credit. So accrued your item expense should be credited here because you are moving the balance from your accrued item expense to your expense. So for the initial entry is basically your accrued item expense will be this one. This will be debited and your liability will be credited. And whenever you run your create multi-period accounting, the balance moves from this particular account to this account, and hence this will be debited and this will be credited. Okay. And as far as the amount is concerned, our invoice amount is 16,350. Out of the 16,350, 15,000 is the item and 1,350 is the tax. And we have entered the start period as May 10, 2021, and end period as April 10, 2021. So 2022. So you are apportioning your expenses over a period of 12 months. So that means your 15,000 should be divided by 12 months. So every month 1250 should be moved to this particular expense account. And similarly, your tax as well. Tax is 1350 divided by 12. 112. So there are two items. One is your state and other one is the county tax. So if you add up these two, it should be 112.5. So 81.25 plus 31.25. Yes, it is 112.5. Okay. Now let me search for this invoice number, and we can look this accounting into there. Go back to your invoice workbench. Yeah. And then manage invoices. Search for this invoice number. Accounted. Okay, now export this. Okay, so if you observe, this is the previous accounting entry wherein your deferred item expense is debited and your liability is created, and also the same entry for the tax as well. So that's this part. Now the accounting entries, your item expense is debited, your deferred item expense is created. Similarly, your item expense is debited and your deferred your deferred item expense is created. So as this being a non-recoverable tax, so generally non-recoverable tax will be charged to your item expense account, and hence you are able to see this. But had it been a kind of a recoverable tax, then you will not be able to see this particular apportioning. So if it is a recoverable tax, you will recover it from your government. I mean, you recover it or you are offset with your AR taxes. So in those cases, then obviously you will not be able to see these entries. The entries would be only like you will be apportioning only 15,000 over a period of time. So now you run your multi-period accounting program, say next month, that is June. Again, few more entries will get added here, and then July, few more entries will get added here. So at any point in time, if you want to see all the accounting entries and MP entries for a particular invoice, you can go back and search for the view accounting on the invoice, and then you will be able to see all those entries here. Okay, so this is how you create an accounting entries for MPA event. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video for interesting videos on Oracle Financials. Please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.